tulaba abalungi Uganda n'amawanga ageetolodde tubaniriza enkya ya leero twebaza Katonda okuba nti atukeza tuli balamu si lwa kwagala kwaffe naye ekisa kino okwagala akkiriza tubere balamu tubaniriza nate nga banjudde omugenyi waffe yatuuseeko dda council Byamugisha Moses profile nene naye ng'emyaka mito so towewuunya kuba nti obuvunanyizibwa n'ebifo byafunye binene okusinga emyaka gye babiri okusinga emyaka gye naye kye bayita leadership ate era bagamba obukulembeze bwa Katonda kiyinza okuba nga kirabo ku bwa Katonda tubaniriza nnyo nkya ya leero nga FARIDA babagambye amannya nze MUKOSE ARNOLD Anton okwatwala enkya ya leero nange ampaddemu omukisa n'angamba owaaye mperekeraako era tujja kubatambula mpolampola paka saawa 3 mpozi okubajjukiza mwe mwenna abadde bagamba tukola tutya okubawagira tulaba emirimu gyabwe mirungi nze alina amafuta simanyi data wange simanyi kaki tofaayo wansi awo ojja kuba olaba wansi waliwo account number osobola kuba nga kolakola kolinawo oba 5 oba 10 onaaba oteeka ku account number eyo naawe alina mobile money osobola okugenda ku page yaffe eya Alternative Uganda kuliko enamba ya simu gikubeko bajja kuba okuwendagira anaaba agikute yenna alina WhatsApp nga kubuuza ebisingawo kwata essimu yo oteekemu enamba eno 0701 800 212 madde mwebuuza kati nze alina ebitaano alina 10 nali agadde okuyambako okubakwatizaako nkola ntya ekyokugonjoola oba ansa yafunise wansi waliwo account number etambula onaaba ogiraba kusa n'enamba eri ku ssimu eri ku page yaffe gikubeko banaaba kuwa endagiriro naawe wa WhatsApp 0701 800 212 banaaba kubuulira okola otya okubaako ettofaali lyogatta ku Alternative Digital tetukola magoba naye twasalawo kuba omuwaatwa oba olutindo olugatta abakulembeze tebakulembera so tubaniriza enkya ya leero omukulu Byamugisha tukwaniriza ssebo
nange nsanyusa okubeera wano olwaleero bulijjo ndaba project eno ng'ekola ebyamaanyi nengamba bano abaana nga kino ekirowoozo kyamaanyi bwe kiti bakifuna batya
bakunominatinze bagala tukyaze gwe netugamba ffe tulina buzibu nga omunominatinze katumukyaze ate nawe tetukalubiriza bangi babanominatinze naye okumufuna obufunyi nga kizibu naye twebaza Katonda era tukwebaza okuba nti ofisi zaawo akadde regardless of your bill schedule nogamba nti amakya ga leero olinafu
nsanyuse nnyo nange okubeera wano
kutandika ddala Byamugisha Moses yani
Moses Byamugisha ava Rukungiri yasoma amateeka alina omukyala n'abaana 3 abawala byebyo mu bimpimpi
ng'ogyeko Byamugisha gutegedde alina omukyala Byamugisha omufumbo tumanyi nti Byamugisha mukulembeze obukulembeze bwa Mugisha butandika butera bujja buti
obukulembeze bwange butandika nga nvudde mu primary nyingidde secondary awo 98 mu ssomero lye twalimu Makobole High School. Makobole High School lyerimu ku masomero ag'amaanyi aga Rukungiri district so ne tutandikira eyo mu students leadership ne tuva eyo nengenda Rukungiri Central gye nakolera A-level nemba head prefect eri Makobole nali room monitor nemba head prefect nenva eyo nengenda gundi ku nensoka nengenda ku Road Development Center eyo safu nayo office then nengenda ku Uganda Christian University eyo netukolera ddala ebintu bingi nenesimbawo ku bwa guild president nempangula ne babiteekamu ne babirinya meggere ne tukita nengenda ku kifo kya president wa Law Society Law Faculty ekyo nenkitwala ng'ogyeko student politics ne mu mainstream political party politics mu Youth League FDC ne tuveeyo wansi nga tukola okuva mu kakiiko k'eminye ka youth e Rukungiri district ne tuveeyo nga tukola nga okutuuka wena nesimbawo ku kifo kyo bwa youth MP mu 2011 nga nkute bendera ya FDC so kwegamba olugendo rwanvu.
Okikoze otya kuba emyaka mito naye okusinziira obuvanyisa buze weetikka bulinga obunene kiki okikoze otya
kati okuva ndowooza consistency kyekikulu consistency kubanga na okuva mu 21 awo nga tuyingidde nga tukyali baana bato netujja nga tutambulira besides some credible people ababadde so consistent mubamanyi mwenna abasajja basobodde okubeera so consistent for all this time so ne batuwa ebyokulabirako birungi ate nga batuwa essuubi nti kasa tukola nnyo mu maaso inshallah buli kimu kijja kuba bulungi so netutambulira awo netutambulira ate nekirala ne wabaamu some mentorship buli bwobeera n'abantu ngaabo mubaamu some mentorship notegeera nti olwaleero nyinza obutafuna kyenjagala naye kasita nsigala nga nkola Uganda ey'enkya ejja kutereera. Nzijjukira waliwo olumu twali tutudde wansi w'omuti ne mukulu waffe mukulu Besigye nga tuliwo abaana bangi natugamba temufaayo nti olaba we twagendera mu nsiko twavaayo twaleka wano nga waliwo abantu abaali bakola ne tubalekawo fe ebitono bye twali tukozeeko ne gavumenti eyaliko n'ebyonoona fe ne tugenda mu nsiko twavaayo natugamba nti ng'ogyeko bano abaatuuka wano ate ne batandika okubba n'obwotunuulira ffe abatagenda mu ebyo ebyokubba si ffe abasinga okuba obubi bwotukomparinga ne bano abasigala wano nga bo bali kukola mirimu gyabwe so mubeere bagumu musigale nga mukola ekiseera bwe kituuka ne tufuna Uganda ewa buli omu omukisa okukola naye ekiseeringa mu ekyo kyalimu obulungi buli omu ajja kuganyirwamu so ne tuba nga psychologically batutegese bulungi nti tusobola okugumiikiriza.
Mu 2015 wavaayo nayagala okwesimba kuwa party president naye ng'okimanyi bulungi nti emyaka watu nagiweza ejikizwa amateeka by then jagasirimu 5 lwaki wali ovuddeyo nga okimanyi bulungi semateeka ow'ekibiina takukkiriza nawe eggwanga naye n'osalawo nti weesimbewo ku bwa party president?
Kati ekibuuzo ekyo kikulu nnyo naye eyo gy'oyogeddeko is just an event naye nga event eyo yali part of a process. Kati emyaka 19 emabegaawo tumaze okuyingira abaturekrutinze tumaze okuyingira oba ngiyita ensiike tuyingidde struggle ng'enjogera y'ennaku zino ne tutandika okukola mpola mpola kati ne tugenda mu kaluula akaasooka aka 21 ne kagenda nga bwe kagenda ne tugenda mu kookubira ka 26 ne koonoonekera ddala kusinga naka 21 ate 26 twali tulina amaanyi mangi nnyo eva ku bino bye mulaba kati 26 twali tulina amaanyi awo we twatandikira okuwangula kati bwe kagenda nga bwe kagenda fe abamu ne tugamba nti naye omanyi bino ebintu byakalolo bya kiguumaaza bano abasajja bandibadde batukiriza ne batufunira ekkuba eddala ne tukwata ekkuba eddala era buli we twagenda ng'owulira abalenzi bagamba mutuwe ebikola mutuwe ebyuma endowooza yaffe mu kaseera ako ffe ab'emyaka gyaffe twali tulowooza nti bino ebyakalolo tebituyamba twandibadde tufuna ebikola ne tugenda ne tufaafagana n'abasajja ne tuyingira ensiko kubanga twali tulaba nga tuli wano tuli mu kufiira wano tetulina kye tufiira omusajja kusangaawo tolina wadde kajiiko mu ngalo nakuba batuuni ku mutwe no omusaayi ne gutiirika n'ofa ne tugamba nti naye mu kifo ky'okufiira wala tisitwaki tetugenda ne tufiira naye twali tulina mu biseera ebyo ng'ekibiina kyaffe abakikulembera abasajja b'amaanyi nga general muntu Dr. Besigye nga balina experience nyingi mu byensikwate ne batuula naffe ne batugamba baana temwogera ku bintu ebyo temumanyi kye bitegeeza. Struggle eno bwe muba mwakuganyirwamu, it has to be peaceful, it has to be non-violent. So fa abaali batijja nga twagala batuwe ebikola tugende ne tusala pressure ne tumaliriza nga tugambye nti okay katugende mu kino. So kati awo we nategeerera biri nga 7 awo ne ntegeera nti struggle eno gye tuyingiddemu eno efuuse struggle eya mindset change. Tekyali struggle ya byuma. Struggle y'ebyuma olaba abasajja bagenda mu struggle y'ebyuma ne batwalira emyaka 5 abagiyingira 8 naye ate waliwo nga Museveni yagiyingira ddanga mu 50 something. Museveni ye yaragimazeemu emyaka mingi nga bakozesa ebyuma naye still kyabatwalira emyaka gitali wansi y'5 okukola ki. So bano abasajja bwe batulafa ne batugamba nti the struggle we want is a non-violent struggle, peaceful, that Ugandans do not deserve to shed more blood to get a president. Ne tusala pressure ne tumanya nti katawo bikyuse ne tugamba nti okay, now that it is a struggle for mindset change, we have to prepare ourselves. If the struggle for Ugandans can take over 5 years, it means the struggle for mindset change is going to take more than 5 years. What does that mean? It means that there is going to be need to prepare leadership within the people, within the forces of change itself. There must be prepared leadership. There will be that generation of the Dr. Messages who are leading it now. There will be another generation, there will be another, there will be our generation. Each generation must prepare its leadership because the struggle we are going in is not going to be a simple struggle. It is at that point that I said, we used to have a conversation as young people. We said, which role can I play? What role can I play? And some of us said, let's now begin to prepare ourselves to offer leadership. Let's prepare to offer leadership. So we asked ourselves, even at an individual level, first of all at an individual level and collectively, what do we need to have in place for us to gather that kind of confidence from the public, from the party, that we can offer leadership of this struggle when our time comes? One of those things that we realized are necessary was that we must begin to build our brands. We must begin to reach out to Ugandans at a personal level. This time not just escorting others, but at a personal level, we must go out and begin to network with people. Build your own network. Build your network in the media. Build your network within the security. Build your network within the young entrepreneurs. Build your network within the civil society. This is something that we decided that we have to do. So, I now come to your question. The reason why I decided to run in 2005, in 2015, for the president, for the flag of the president of FDC, even when I knew at that time I didn't have the years, was because there was that background. I knew that this was an opportunity for me to reach out to Ugandans. Remember, this was an internal process, and I was real to the facts that were on the ground. I knew the dynamics within the party. I knew that I didn't have the chance to win because at that moment, our senior citizen, Dr. Messenger, was running for the same flag. So I knew that Dr. Messenger was our favorite, including myself. But I said, this being an internal process, the party still has a mechanism of managing it and allowing me to go in to build myself, build my brand, move around the country, network, and do everything. But it wasn't possible. Eventually they said, no, let's not take chances. This is an election. Anything can happen. So you would rather wait at that moment.
So your sole reason to come up was to build networks, to build yourself, not to win, to be
because you see, because I knew that we have gone into a struggle that is a process. I knew that this struggle had stages. I knew that, but you see, let me use the example of a banana plant. When you have this banana that, the banana sucker, when it has brought to the other ekitooke bwe kivaayo ne kitandika okukula, tojagamba nti kati tetwetaaga kulabawo n'obwana awo. If anything bwe wabawo obwana otandika nabo okubuweetaka mpola mpola so that by the time lireetooke bwe livaawo buluno nabwe bube nga bukuze. Nze nali ndowoozeza nti nsobola kugenda mu eyo process. Ekibiina ne mikwano gyange bagikozese okunzimba. Banzimbe besides a strong personality who was in the race as well. Nange nsobola okuvaayo time eyange weerituukira mbe nga nsobola nange okukola ki kubanga bannayuganda balimbiddwa emirundi mingi by politicians. It is not easy to work and earn their confidence. The reason why Dr. Besigye has remained a special personality, the reason why people like General Muntu have remained special personalities is because of their consistency. They have earned trust over time. There are things that you can't manufacture. You can't manufacture confidence. You can't manufacture trust. It is something that you must work on over time to be able to achieve it. And that's exactly what we did. I said, there is going to be some things I have to engage in for me to be able to earn the necessary trust and confidence. And exposing myself, because you see, every time you come out to run, there is a touch of light that is shown onto you. They are able to see you, to scrutinize you, to understand you better. And that's what makes you a better person. So it is in that spirit that I had decided to run.
Yes. You decided to run regardless of you knowing you don't have the qualifications, specifically the age. The same happened in 2020, 2019-2020. Walaga bannayuganda ogenzi otambudde eggwanga lyonna okoze consultations abavubuka ne balalinga behind you. Actually, you were the only youth that physically and publicly reached out to Ugandans across the country, mobilizing at the same time consulting them. Next last moment, no bavamu, no Ghana opinion nominations. What happened? And you doing with the youth?
First of all, kubanga era guno gwe murundi gwange ogusoose okuvaayo publicly kwogera ku nsonga eno okuva bwe twayita mu bino ebintu. Kansooke neetondere abo bonna abaali basuubira okumperekerako mu luno olugendo ne bamaliriza nga tebandabye mu abo abajjayo empapula abasunsuddwa okwesimbawo. Mbeetondera ngezezaako abangi okubakubira amasimu, okubatuukako, okuba meetinga digitale, naye ekyo manyi nti tekimala. Kati nkubuulidde olugendo lwaffe bwe luvudde. Kati by 2017 mujjukira bulungi 2017 neesimbawo ku kifo kya party president wa FDC. Ekifo ekyo kukyesimbawo, still it was partly the decision was partly informed by that background that I've given you. Good enough 2017 nali nina ebyetaagisa byonna era mujjukira bulungi twali mu lwokaano naba n'abasajja abalala, nze ne General Muntu ne Amliat ne munafu omulala, era mujjukira bulungi nti twagenda ku debate, nze nasinga okuwa debate enungi ensambya, buli omu n'akiteeka mu stamp. Ekitegeeza nti waliwo ekigendererwa kye tuliko. Kati ne tutandika okuva olwo, those who were trying to follow my activities, when we finished the presidential election, I rolled out another national campaign reaching out to students in institutions of higher learning, mobilizing them and ensuring that we revive the vibrance of the FDC youth within the institutions of higher learning and opening up chapters of FDC. We did a great work in the year 2018 because I had just finished the presidential election in 2017. In 2018, I rolled out that campaign. We started early around January, and we were targeting to ensure that we have the maximum number of guild leaders across the country. In the year 2018, FDC got over 15 guild leaders from the topmost higher institutions of learning, starting from those that are in Kampala to Guru to Western Uganda. I personally, together with the rest of the team, did a lot of work in that respect. And that work was informed by the other background I've told you. They need to build a network, they need to build a brand, they need to expose ourselves so that we are able to be scrutinized and be better people. And build a team. So, we left 2018. But you recall that towards the end of my campaign, I had some challenges. Challenges related to the fact that, you see, a political party has got its systems. It has its rules. It has its ways of doing things. As I continued traveling around the country, as the campaign gathered a lot of momentum amongst students, it did not augur well with some of the leaders within the party. You know, there are very many senior people in this country, both in business, in politics, in churches, who strongly believe that young people generally lack greatly the aspect of personal initiative. They don't believe that young people can, on their own, start up something extraordinary. Every time you come up and you are trying to do something extraordinary, they will think you've been sent, you've been bought, you've been, you are ill-advised, you lack mentorship. And so, even in my campaign, which, by the way, we run ensuring that we do not undermine the party, we do not undermine any leaders within the party. It is instead advancing the struggle. Good as it was, still, they were very suspicious. Remember, these are, at the end of the day, they are also politicians, and they are looking at me, and so they use the political lenses to look at my activities. So they stopped me. Now, a campaign which I thought that would run for about 3 years, and I thought that by the end of 3 years we would have done great work. At the end of 2018, they recorded me at the headquarters, and after the meeting, they said we can't continue with that program, and I did not see any reason to insist. So I nensala pressure ngenjogera ennaku zino. Kati bwe twatandika 2019, no, this is 2020.
Yes.
So mu 2019 nendaba nti now I am preparing to run. I would actually want to run for the party flag, but eventually run for the president of this country. There are things that I need to have in place. There is some sort of preparation that is required. What can I do in this respect? I looked at the space that I have within the institutional frameworks of the party, but also looked at the work that is needed. You see, the flag of the FDC, good enough, they've just completed the process. It is not a simple activity. This is an activity that involves very senior people. Former MPs, former this, current this, former this. And you have got a Byamugisha Moses, who, honestly speaking, the only former thing he is a former student maybe. But he wants to run with these senior people, meaning that Byamugisha Moses have got to find extraordinary ways of how he can put himself at an equal footing with them. And that extraordinary way can only be through extra hard work. The question was, do I have ample space to do that extra hard work? And that's when I announced at the beginning of, I think this year, in January, yes, I announced and I said I was going to run for president as an independent. It's not that I didn't love my party. I loved my party so much. I knew the implications of my announcement and my decision, but I was looking at what is required of me to have accomplished for me to be a credible candidate, and the space and the parameters available for me within the party to be able to do it. So I reasoned and said, yes, we are in these political parties. We are fighting for change. But it's not that it's only people who are in political parties that are fighting for change. There are people everywhere, in the media, in business, in the churches, who are fighting for change in various ways. So the ultimate the ultimate struggle is the change for this country, not necessarily the party per se. A party is a vehicle. When you are coming from Mbale, someone can come in YY, another one can come in Teso coach. You will all be in Kampala eventually. So the issue is not who has come with YY and who has. The issue is are you on the right course? Yes, your preference is YY, but if you can't get it, are you still on the right course? So that's when I announced that I would run for independent. I was calculating that would give me enough chance to move around the country, to build my network. Like Comrade has said, indeed we did a lot of work. We started in January. By the time they rocked this country over COVID, we had moved from Kigezi to Busoga to Eregon to Sebei to Teso to Lambo to Acholi to West Nile, now to Bunyora. I was completing Chibale, going into Ankole again. So we had done a lot of good work. Now, eventually, as I was moving, because of my background, it was not easy for me to explain to our party members, but also to Ugandans generally, that I was running as an independent candidate. Everyone kept referring to me as an FDC candidate, as a FDC's Byamugisha, FDC's Byamugisha. And I realized that it was beginning to send discord. So I decided to have some meetings with some of the leaders within the party, those that I really find friendly. And I shared with them. I said, I know, my friends, you might be not aware of what I'm doing, you are worried, but this is what I'm doing. I explained to them. They said, yeah, it's a good thing, but you see, you are not an ordinary party member. There is how the public has known you. So every time you come out, there is what the public looks at you. So those questions will keep coming up. So we decided to think over it, to keep engaging, to keep consulting. And it became clear that, that, for example, if I was in the race now, and the FDC had the candidate in the race, you would find every time I would be explaining why I'm not on the FDC ticket, and the FDC flag bearer or the party president would be answering questions on how he failed throwing on errant members. You can imagine. They would be referring to Byamugisha Moses as an errant member.
True.
And yet my struggle is well-intentioned. So I looked at all the effort I have done, and I realized I was going to sacrifice it. Someone was going to misunderstand me. But the last nail in the coffin was the guidelines for the campaigns.
Oh.
Because you see, the campaign, which normally is over 90 days, was reduced to 60 days for the president. 60 days to go in over 140 districts. For some of us who have moved around, it is not easy. It is not easy to move around.
But we have youth like Katumba, regardless of the limited time, they decided to confront the battle.
Now you
Yet
see,
for you had the capacity of traversing the whole country before the roadmap.
You see, now, the difference between me and some of those candidates is that for me, the issue of nveyo nanga bannayuganda bandabeko bantegeere ekyo kyali tekikyali kizibu. Eyo platform nali njiweebwa, nali njifunye mu kibiina ogina emyaka 15 gyonna. The issue of coming out so that Ugandans see me was not an issue for me. It is not something that I would spend 20 millions for.
So
I had already...
Yes, I say some of these presidential candidates bafuddeyo bannayuganda babalabe babategeere.
Si kyengambye, naye nze what I am saying is that such an issue could not be a reason for me to go in the race. I have told you that there was a process. I wanted to be sure that I am going to be a presidential candidate, and that status would give mileage to the other process that I had been engaged in for all these years. So when I looked at the guidelines, 70 people, you can see people, very peaceful candidates like our sister Kalembe, do not have a chance to meet people. A very peaceful person like Kalembe, they would have said that maybe these Byamugishas, these boys, they are ever violent in Kampala, they are defiant. But what about a peaceful person like Kalembe? They also don't have a chance. So I realized that this process was not going, that was going to be a raw deal. they were going to, indeed, the rest of the people, like the names you've mentioned, they have gone in that process. They will be able to earn something to themselves politically. My point is that what they are earning is not an issue for me now. I moved from there a long time ago. I ran, in 2011 I contested for youth member of parliament. I campaigned for over 28 districts of Western Uganda by that time. In 2017 I contested for party president of the FDC. I moved around the country. It was not an issue. In 2018 I moved around the country again, visiting all universities. In 2019, 2020, I again moved around the country holding consultations on whether I should run for president or not. So the issue of going out to Ugandans bandabe ko kyali kizibu. Nali njagala mbeere mu kintu ekye nayongera kwetafaali kuwentuuse. So when I weighing gundi now, yes, when I weighed guidelines, I looked at the political cost. Remember that for me to run, I would automatically lose membership in the party. Yes, go out, have to explain myself why I'm running as an independent, and then in February when I come back in the party, there will be that political hostility. Ono ya that vuddemu yes mbonga independent. Katate chono ne chendude nga nzimba. Nensalawo nengamba no, the cost is higher. The cost is going to be higher than what I will get. If it was a normal campaign, where we are campaigning normally, nothing like this political COVID guidelines, we would see how to mitigate the cost of the political cost with what we can gain. The challenge is that by nomination day, when we weighed, we realized that the mileage we get and the cost it would be on us politically, the cost was higher than the mileage. And we took a decision that we can stay. We are still young people. We are still here. In 2 years to come, the party will still be in elections. In 4 years from now, the party will still have elections. So we still have opportunities to provide leadership in the party, or even provide leadership in the struggle. So, and as you may have noticed, I am already mobilizing for the FDC flag bearer. I went back to Teso at the beginning of, I think, last week, when he was launching his campaign, to begin to talk to my friends and say, you know what, guys, let's make a tactical withdrawal on this matter. Let's first have the gentleman have ample time. Let's support him. Let's support the party, and we see how to continue building. For as long as we are alive, those opportunities are there. We shall provide the leadership.
Looking back at your political history, one could say you are a good mobilizer. You pull crowds. Why didn't you consider standing for another political position since you pulled out from the presidential race?
A very important question. Very many friends, even relatives have said, Moses, Rukunjiri is FDC. Why don't you just go and be a member of parliament? You would win. Murukunjiri municipality, Rujumbura, where you come from, they are all FDC. Why don't you go and win there? Even here in Kampala, maybe you run for either whatever position. I am happy that we began this conversation by me giving you a background on how I decided to engage at this level. It was at that time when we decided to by around 2007, when we decided that we should take up roles. It was clear that we were going in for a marathon, not a relay race. It was going to be a marathon. It is going to take us time. It is a struggle for mindset change. That it is going to take us months and good years rearing Ugandans, teaching them, raising the conscience of Ugandans, and also sending good signals to the people in power for them not to be worried until Uganda can have some sort of consensus on the kind of change that we want. Now that is not the struggle for offices. If it was to be an office, I think I would be somewhere. I hold a bachelor's degree in law. I hold a diploma in law. I am not so bad off if it was to get an office. But I said that, you see, I was lucky that I'm one of those people that worked closely with senior people like Dr. SJ. And you would see a man who is very committed to the struggle. But he also knows that the struggle is big. He also knows that it may end now, it may not end in his time. But it is his desire that this struggle should be pushed to its logical conclusion. The question was, are there some people who are preparing themselves or being prepared to champion this struggle post-Museveni? I mean, yes, post-Museveni, post-Besigye. Because even if we got power last election and Besigye was president, the struggle to raise the conscience of Ugandans to the level where they can begin to hold the leaders accountable, where they begin to realize that the people who are in power are actually servants, and the Wananchi are the ones whose power is being exercised by those in the executive. It's a struggle that can take us years. And for me, I said that that's the struggle I want to dedicate my life. You be youth member of parliament and gain what? The only thing you can get in being youth member of, in being member of parliament is a salary and a constituency. No, there are very many good brains.
We believe while there in parliament you could table your ideas that you believe in, since your slogan is championing a youth-led change.
Yes, but you see, leadership in parliament is not lacking. In that parliament there are very many good brains, the likes of that whole team of young MPs. They've been raising their voice. So for me, the front of parliament is not lacking. Instead, what is lacking is this general national front. Because in parliament, instead, what is happening is that you reach there, some of them get diverted, some of them get demoralized, some of them get discouraged. The regime is also working on them.
Some of them get compromised.
Yes, some of them get, that's why I said the regime is working on them. They meet a lot of challenges. So I think let's sustain. That's why you see, for example, the Honorable Chagulanyi, this time around is not running for member of parliament. He knew he can win member of parliament again and continue adding that voice. But he has realized that the leadership in parliament is not lacking per se in terms of the voice. What is lacking is at the national level. So that is why some of us are saying, let's prepare ourselves, let's contribute. And you see, again, I would like to thank the Dig Talk and the alternative, because I hadn't talked out and many people were thinking that maybe Moses, Yabifudemu, Vichibichin. But at least those who have watched, they understand where we are coming from now. They understand that I'm still here. For me, nothing is taking me away. All members of the party know that I am here. They know that in the next 2 years, when the party is carrying elections for the president, I'll be there. When the party will be looking for the flag bearer, I will be there. One day I will be the flag bearer of the FDC for president of this country, and maybe for the president of this country. So I'm not worried, for as long as God gives us life.
Moses, some members in the party allege that your capacity to traverse the country, given the fact that it's too costly, you were being financed, and it might be that you are part of the MUKOSE project, and that's why the party had to come out and issue a withdrawal letter from your activity. The world would love to know, since it's your first program, if I show, to discuss and talk about what happened in your campaigns. Kindly clarify, how true is it that you are part and parcel of the MUKOSE project that led even the party through the Secretary General to write a letter requesting you to withdraw from your initiative?
That's very important. You see, earlier on I talked about the aspect, the thinking in many Ugandans, senior Ugandans, who generally believe who generally don't have confidence in us as young people. They think that young people in this country, all we have done is to resign to substance abuse, drug abuse, women, vidura, and everything. They think we are a lost generation. They think we are wasted. Every time a young person comes up to do something extraordinary, they don't believe that we have any sense of personal initiative. So every time you come out, there are those questions. Kubanga bamanyira nti buli kuvaayo bateekwa kuba wakutumye. Zijjukira waliwo akaseera mu myaka gya 2000 around 2014 nga ntandise okukola nga neetegekera 2015 akalulu ka flag bearer ya president. 2014 twakola omulimu mungi natambula districts nyingi nze n'emikwano gyange nga tusinkana abavubuka nga tubagamba kyemukola mugire muyingire structures za FDC ate bwe muba muyingira structures za FDC mutagetinga ebifo biri ebigenda Kampala okulonda ebifuuka ba delegates mufuuke ba delegates ureba nti ofuuka chairperson aba secretary general oba w'abakyala oba minyeto owaki mutagetinga ebifo ebyo mobilize ne tumobilizinga abaana ne bayingira structures nga twetegekera ebyo kati mweyo campaign mu kaseera ako Nandara yari amaze kwesimbawo kuba secretary general ndowooza oba secretary general yari amaze kwesimba ne gundi ne Mugisha muntu party presidency mu myaka gya 2014 nawo yari amaze kwesimba naye kati muntu yali party president Nandara nga ali leader of opposition nga Dr. Besigye akora milimo gye activism nga ali Destiny Katonga kati nenva gye nvudde nentandika omulimu ogwangu gw'okusinkana abantu kati ne baba nga tebasobola kutegeera endowooza eri erowooza nti Moses tasobola kubaako ye ng'omuntu kyeyetandikira bateekwa okubaako waliwo mutumi nga buli senta yonna endaba nga oba oli yamusindisa oba oli yali kumuwaga abatudde najja nampinga bagamba aba bali ku parliament waliwo kye bapanga round eddako kirabika ono omwana siya kata abali ku parliament nabo nga tebantegeera nga bagamba oba guno omulimu gwa barabali najja nankumba oba baraba akatonga kwega ate nga nze ndi mu kukola ebyange so it's a mindset. It's a general problem. You don't blame it on them. Even when we were doing these issues of money came in, and I was asking myself, and I said, "Oh God, I wish those sponsors that they are talking about could sponsor me, because the way I was struggling, you find me on. I reach Soroti. I have to move in 9 districts of Teso. I can't afford a special hire to move the entire Teso. So what I do, I get in touch with a friend, let's say Arnold. If he has a very good motorcycle, we know that we have a budget of, let's say, 200,000 fuel. We fuel it, we move with it for 10 days. I cover the entire districts of Teso. That's the journey that we were in. But I would keep hearing, oh, he's being sponsored by this, he's being... And I see how we are suffering, how I can't afford the hotel, instead how I am allying with friends to sleep at their homes. So, let me state very clear, that all the effort, all the support I have had, first of all, nobody has supported me beyond my ordinary friends. And ordinary friends, I mean, people akugulira MBs, oyo naye amaze, eze 12. Namanya nti ojja kusobola akusobozesa okuteekayo ebifaananyi byo ku Facebook ne bategeera nti obadde mu field. Oyo akoze omulimu akimaze. Omunaavayo n'agamba ngenda kuba nga nkuteerako voice bundle. At least okubira abantu. Sisobodde kugenda nawe egunde akyoli naye nze kakuteereko voice bundle. Omulala n'agamba bw'oba olize Mbale tosolanga mu hoteri. nina mukwano gwange alina ka guest house oba waka tulina family home eri awo kumpi yes obe ng'osula awo ebyo bye twakolanga omulala n'agamba nze nina mukwano gwange alina obutakisi obugenda Entungamo bw'oba ogenda eyo totawaana yes tulina munaffe gwe twasoma naye mukono alina leadership mu global buses bw'oba ogenda side z'embalala totawaana ojja kufuna tiketi ebyo bye twakolanga jukira this has been a process. One of the things I did successfully was to identify, first of all, what sort of resources do I need in this kind of exercise? Where do those resources come from? Which people have those resources? I don't remember when my phone, my mobile money, has ever received even 500,000 shillings. Nothing. I don't remember, in the last 5 years, I don't remember my account receiving even 1 million shillings. In the last 5 years. Never. And these are things that we can prove. But we were being supported by our ordinary friends because what we decided to do was an issue that we sat down and discussed as people, as a team. And we said, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? People were saying, Moses, this money that you spend in the media. Now I am here, I've been given a platform by the alternative. Absolutely nothing that I have paid. But the goodwill of Ugandans. You see, when you are true to the cause, there are people who will see you and give the opportunity. I am one of the people that enjoyed a lot of coverage, both social and mainstream media, in my consultations. Simply because before we began this process, we sat down and identified people who is where, who is where, who is where. And we made sure that they are part of our processes. So, today they could have been saying that it's being sponsored by this. By God's grace, one day I will run against those people that they are saying they were sponsoring me. And we will ask those people questions. So now that he's running against them, who is sponsoring the other?
The Mighty Drive, ye program gyokyaliko esaawa zinatera okuyingira ebbiri ez'okumakya tugenda mukomuka health break atinu nnyo then tukomewo naye ate njagala okubajjukiza alina question y'omukwano tugenda komawo ne question zizammwe mu kitundu kyaffe ekyokubiri genda mu wansi mu comment section otypingemu ekibuuzo kyo tugenda kubanga ate tukisoma. The Mighty Drive tukomawo.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative TikTok. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digital etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugenda mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative TikTok.
championing a youth-led change was an initiative, or is an initiative, eya council Byamugisha Moses. Wona wetuuse kikyeriko tugenda kubanga ate tukyogerako mu ssaawa eno ey'okubiri ate nga yessaawa yaffe ebeera esembayo ku programu yaffe ya The Mighty Drive. Munnange twagala okujjukiza nti page eri The Alternative Uganda. Facebook account yo in your search engine teekamu The Alternative Uganda. Go like the page and follow us. Ogenda kubanga ate otufuna bulungi bw'omala okufollowinga nyiga kwako nakasimbo kabeeranga akade aka notifications babeere nti bakuwa notifications every when we go live every day zibeera saawa emu ey'okumakya mpaka saawa 3. Olwaleero mu studios ntudde ne munnange MUKOSE ARNOLD Anthony bwe tuli mu kukwasaganya programu yaffe n'omugenyi waffe ow'olunaku omwami oba kanso Byamugisha Moses. Ebibuuzo byammwe ndaba biyitirivu ab'omikwano nze nsooka na kubeetondera nti ekibuuzo kyo bwe mba sikisomye mukwana ate tonyiigira biba bingi ng'ate ebiyitirivu nno nnyini ddala, so ngamba bugambi munnange nti onoonsonyiwa. Omwami Henry Kyemba webale kubeerako. Ekibuuzo kye kiri nti he had a youth-led change campaign initiative. Ask him why he dumped that campaign. It had attracted the attention of some of the corporate youths. Why did he abandon that campaign?
Kati nebaza nnyo munnaffe oyo Kyemba ekibuuzo kye. We have not abandoned because nothing has changed on the program that we had. What we have done is to take a tactical withdrawal, which decision is informed by the timing and the dynamics on the ground. But we are still committed to it. Kubanga, one thing that I didn't mention, but I mentioned but didn't come out clear, is that after realizing that we were going in a struggle for a mindset change,
Yes.
we knew that we will also, as young people, need to prepare to take over. And we knew that the people, omuntu tasobola kubanga yali mu nsiko n'olwaleero oluvannyuma lw'emyaka oba meka okyayagala gwe baba bakuba embooko gwe baba bakuba tiyagaasi ng'alwanirira mmwe kubanga ye teri kyamaanyi kyayagala. That's when we decided to start a youth-led change. We were saying, yes, we were in change, but it is not enough.
Yes.
We as young people must be able to do the donkey work,
Yes.
to take on the biggest initiative
We
to
should be
push
at
this
the
change.
forefront.
We should be at the forefront. So I would like to assure Chamber that we are still at the forefront. We are still pushing and we shall continue pushing.
Omwami Kiwanuka Bashiri agamba, ask Byamugisha Moses why he never showed up in the party primaries, though he had a bigger dream to become the president of Uganda.
Now, I gave an explanation on why I could not go in the party primaries. You see, FDC is a robust, deeply entrenched party with some strong systems. Whenever we are going to vote a national leader, either a party president or a presidential flag bearer,
Yes.
there has been some parameters, some unmentioned qualifications. There are these qualifications they mention and say you pay nomination fee of, let's say, 5 million, you have to have of this age. But there are some qualifications which are not mentioned, which are silent. Some of those qualifications are, for example, what sort of experience do you have in terms of public governance, public administration? What is your experience in that field, in that respect?
Yes.
How resourced are you, by the way? Because we are an opposition party, we don't have money, we are also struggling. So what sort of resources do you have in that respect that you can be able to push this? Because if we are going to make a flag bearer of the FDC and the party doesn't have money, you need to be having your personal resources which you can use at least to push this.
To push your campaign.
Because you see, Museveni stopped funding of political parties. Today, a mighty party like FDC has got a limit which it can fundraise from outside the country. So, and that limit is so small, Museveni did it intentionally that it would curtail the activities of political parties. So, a candidate must be having those resources. A candidate must be having his name on the ground. There is that thing of having your name on the ground. Now, the issue is, if you have, for you to be able to have your name on the ground, you need to have, so I mean those three aspects.
Yes.
I looked at myself. I looked at Byamugisha Moses. First of all, my age is a disadvantage that I cannot have gathered the necessary experience. Given my age, I cannot have worked in the government, that I'm former this, former MP, former that, former what, former minister. No, I cannot have had that. So meaning that on that one, I am disqualified. On the issue of resources, partly related to the first factor, I cannot say that I have the resources that are needed. Now, on the issue of having my name on the ground, yes, my name may not be there to the level of where the party would need. But if I must at one time be a candidate for this party, at least of the three things, that is one area I can begin to address. I can now begin to engage in some activities, some mobilization that would be able to put my name on the ground, so that if in this year 2020 the party may not have considered me or may not be in position to consider me on the three qualifications, when we return the next round, at least out of the three, I will have addressed the first one, the third one, of having my name on the ground. So that's what we are doing. That was because I am real to those qualifications. I said it is not necessary for me to go to engage in. Again, remember that Byamugisha Moses is now not on the level of where he is trying to compete to be seen. Eyo navayo da njagala mbeere mu kintu ng'amanyi bulungi nti kirina etafaali lyekyongerako kuje tulaga. So that's why I did not engage in, and I said, let our other senior leaders go in. For me, what I want to achieve, which is primarily to build my brand, to build a national network, to deepen my roots on the ground, I can achieve it without necessarily disrupting the internal processes within the party. And that's why I had opted to move on the sidelines.
Henry Chamber again, he asked him why he did not contest for a parliamentary seat, yet he has all the qualifications and capacity to win. Ndowooza ekibuuzo ekyo bakizeemu. Ekirala agamba he should also take up internal party positions, but he abandoned that. We wanted him to contest on these party positions despite losing party presidency, so that he can be closer and party of internal processes of the FDC.
Ekyo tekinaba kufa kubanga nga bwe nkubuulidde tujja kugenda mu kalulu very soon. Emyaka ebiri mu byobufuzi bayirewo kaseera katono nnyo. So Chamber ne banafe abalala kye balina okumanya nze sirina gye ndaga, ngenda kukola n'amaanyi, ate baba balina okukimanya nti kasita tubeera ne internal processes mmanina okuzeetabamu. Ekifo ky'obwa pulezidenti tetunaba kulowooza nti kati kifudde nti tetukyakisobola, naye bwe tutuuka akaseera ne tulowooza nti maybe we need to consider another position, we shall also take that decision. So I have not gone anywhere, I have not gone outside, I'm still in and we are still working.
Yes, ndaba abantu bangi wano kuliko Serugoruna bangi n'abatu tubikoonako dakika ziri 10 ezaketa ku ssaawa 2 tuli mu bitundu by'Ekamo wana ebukoto Kayen amanyo Kayen tuli wano tulina omugenyi waffe Byamugisha Moses Council munamateeka tunabyabufuzi nga tugezaako okumuumuunya n'ogayagaya mu nsonga z'ebyobufuzi ezigenda mu maaso nga twebuuza abavubuka engeri gye beenyigira mu byobufuzi yeegwanidde bo ng'abavubuka ku myaka gyabwe oba basigale nga batimba bipande. Yensonga kyolaba omutwe bafugamba nti youth meaningful participation in politics. Kuba ebiseera ebisinga tutula abavubuka abasinga okwalibaddenga okuparticipatinga kubeera ku mizindaalo, kuba nnyimba, kutimba bipande na kukuba mbeekuulo eri abo baba bawagira. So bwe twebuuliza nti omuvubuka yali bw'otunuulira embeera mu maaso y'obufuzi mu ggwanga benyigiddemu bulungi oba waliwo ekibulamu ekyo waliwo ekibulamu kyekirina okukolebwa olaba nga benyigiddemu bulungi balina kulungamiza batya okulaba nti embeera egenda bulungi era awo tugenda wennyini ku mwama gwaffe omukulu naye njamu okubajjukiza gwe wenna abadde yeebuuza nti nkola ntya okubakwasizaako omulimu gwammwe okulaba nti digital egenda mu maaso tulowooza nti ekibuuzo kyo kyaddibwamu tunula wansi awo waliwo ebigambo ebitambula wansi waliwo account number ya Equity Bank gijjeeyo konakona kwolina okateekeko oba si ekyo gwe oyinza okuba nga oyagala bisingako awo osooka ku ssimu eyo era etambula wansi eri 07-0-0-3-7-6 gikubeko bakubuulire baguidinge ngeri kyoyinza okuba nga olina airtime olina ka data olina amafuta oba okutwebaza tekina buzibu embeera yonna support yonna eyinza okuba nga yagamba weebale kolera bagamba nti weebale amala ebintu tweyanza nnyo ekya 12 tuddayo eri omugenyi waffe Byamugisha Moses golowooza abavubuka engeri benyigira mu byobufuzi yeye entuufu era balungamizibwa bulungi okuba nti benyigira mu byobufuzi nga bigenda mu maaso
kati ekisooka from by experience omanyi okozesa ekigambo kirungi okulungamizibwa which I think maybe means mentorship in English. Political parties would have been the central processing units for mentorship for young people nga zisobola okuteekawo embeera erungamya abavubuka ne mufuna ba Byamugisha Moses nga bangi. The challenge we've had is that political parties, especially the opposition political parties, have not been given a chance to be real political parties. Struggle jetulimu, NRM itself, which is fused with the state, has squeezed the rest of the political parties in a corner that they do not have space to run meaningful mentorship programs for their young people. Kubanga kati bw'olaba ekintu nga katugambe nga FDC weyandibadde esobola okuteekawo programu ng'eyo eri extensive katugambe nga academies nebikola ki we twandibadde tusobola kuteeka maanyi awo oba ne resources mujja kwesanga nga resources zemulina ntono nnyo temukirizibwa kufundraisinga up to some limit nga n'akaseera ne mukamalira mu politics zino ez'okuchallenginga regime. Tukyali mu kulwana kwegamba tukyali mu nsiko bambi tukyali mu nsiko tetunaba kuvaayo bwe tunaavaayo nga tulina government etegeerekeka n'ebina ebyobufuzi ebitegeerekeka awo we tusobolera okukolera mentorship program zisoboka naye ku ssaawa eno tukyali mu struggle ebibiina bikyali mu kwetaasa tewali ngeri yonna gye basobola okutandikaho kubanga batugamba emyaka ejjedda ebibiina nga DP nti byakola nnyo ebintu ebyo ebya mentorship. Yes, mu forums ngeza Uganda Young Democrats, they mentored young people, they connected them, they got them scholarships that were making them better people. But such programs are not easy to run now because political parties are heavily disrupted by the regime. It is not easy to organize such. But nonetheless, there have been some informal programs here and there. I think collaborations, political parties have tried to collaborate with organizations like CAS, building alliances. I know, for example, FDC has got an alliance with Chadema of Tanzania, the Youth League. There is a way they network. There are these platforms like the Uganda Youth Platform, Interparty Youth Forum. Yes, those are there, they do activities, but those activities are not enough really. We need to have growing leaders must be a deliberate process. For some of us, it is because we took on extra roles and we made it deliberate to work on ourselves, but it is not easy oli mu kulowooza ebyo olina omukyala olina famire olina ki olina okwetaasa the other family bakutunuulira gwe yandibadde abayambako kugamba nga omuvubuka n'osanga ng'olina challenges nyingi ezitakusobozesa okuconcentratinga ku kino naawe oyagala olabekeko obulungi oyagala obeereko neki bano be wasoma nabo kati bakuleseewo oli awo tokyafiitinga musoso yate ne weesanga nga oli ku kisenge oluusi n'obeera diverted. But it is also incumbent on some of us, like myself now, the kind of exposure that I have got, it would be necessary, and it is going to be necessary, that we find a way of running our networks to run such programs, to give chance to other young people. Indeed, we used to do it. Even that project that I've told you of going to universities, it was partly a mentorship process, trying to go to universities, identify who is there, oh, that GRC, Kubanga, most of the student leaders find it very challenging to cross from student leadership to mainstream politics. Olutindo ruwanva abaana abangi basigala eyo abadde makerere wakabi naye okucrossinga nti agende mu disitulikiti yaabwe yesimba mu structures z'ekibiina akisanga kizibu ky'amaanyi kubanga woomalira essomero booti nga muzeeyi za hostera zikujjako nga kapocket mana kayimiriza kati ne weesanga ng'oli so devastated kati otyayo n'okugenda mu kyalo kubanga bajja kugamba ono yasoma naye nga tumulaba wano talina na mulimu ng'ali ku kyalo tugamba ensi n'osanga ensi endala naye twali tutandiseeyo program tusobole okuteekawo olutindo olusobozesa abaana okusobola okucrossinga okuva mu student leadership okudda kubanga naffe kye twakolanga twava nava EUCU nga ndi firebrand nenyingirawo ne tukola omulimu ogutegeerekeka. So it is going to remain our responsibility that people like myself continue to reach out to young people and even use our other networks to run programs that can offer mentorship of young people, both within the party but also generally in the struggle. And I think that has to be done.
Yeah, something has to be done. Byamugisha, waliwo ebigambibwa nti mu FDC ekibiina kyo nti bw'oba ne independent mind mulimu abavuka gye bayita enkokola gwe wakola otya ogibanga mweziri gwe wakola otya to beat the odd okuba nti gwe wakkiriza okumentalingibwa n'ofuuka kikyoli bwe zibanga mwe teziriimu nga jasi bigambo gw'olowooza political parties zalibaddewo zitya okulaba nti zaccommodatinga abalina endowooza eyawukana ku y'abakulembeze b'ekibiina.
Kati enkokola zo ziri buli wamu. Enkokola ne bwe mubeera mu kiraasi mu ssomero mubeeramu enkokola ziyinza okuba ku katugambe nti tuli balenzi babiri twagala ono tutandika okwekuba enkokola amutwala yani ayitawo yani enkokola ziyinza okuva ku bifo by'obufuzi enkokola ziri buli wamu ne mu bibiina mweziri buli kyokola baba bakitunuulira kubanga bw'okola project ng'egenda okuwa political mileage ng'ate kyosuubira kwesimbawo katugambe ekifo waliwo ne munno kyasuubira okwesimbawo ate nga alina obuyinza okusobola okukuyimiriza kati tasobola butakukuba nkokola naye ekyo olina okukitegeera nti those are like oba nziyite oba occupational hazards ebyo birina okubaawo. That kind of competition has to be there, so it should not push you away. So yes, those things have been there, but we've been working. You see, bw'oyimirira ku mazima n'okola ebintu byo mu bwerufu neyeetaaga okukuba enkokola tasobola kubaako wakusanga agenda okukusanga toli mu nguzi ntakuteekeko nti olidde enguzi somewhere toli mu kwononya erinnya lya kibiina baki ntakuteekeko ebyo yesanga blackmailing. So how I was able to remain high at that level was because I chose truth, I chose openness, and I chose to stick to my goals, not to be diverted. Even when I was moving, even in this recent process, yes, there were awards, yeah, you know, maybe. by both young people and old people. But like I've told you, I would single out those that I consider to be those who matter to me, and I would seek audience with them. Nemba nti munange imanyi oyinza okuba obadde weeralikira n'ekino kyekiriwo nze sirina mutawaana nakyembala ate nsobola kukiyisaawo wano ffenna ne tufunamu kubanga era kimu one of the things I was telling them nembagamba nti olaba ng'ekibiina tetuweereddwa mukisa naffe abaana baffe tebasobola kufuna mukisa ogubeera exposed the youth in the opposition do not have the kind of chances like the NRM youth. Nti government omanye ekibiina kisobola okupositioninga mu public. The party can position you for something. Bweba ekwetaaga. Nebaako weekuteeka abantu ne bakulaba no improving ne okola ki kataba abali mu government basobola okubasindika wabweru ne bafuna scholarships soma kino genda ko mu office eno labikako wano babenga ne batandika preparing a public for that. But within the opposition it is not possible because the space is already so limited. Our space as the opposition parties is already so squeezed. We do not have the chances. The party does not have the chance to expose its young people for such big things. So nze nembagamba banange nga bwe mukimanyi tetulina mukisa mungi abaana bafu kubajjayo nabo ne bakola ki nze munzikirize ngende mu kino ekintu nze ngenda kuvaamu kubanga manyi intentions z'ekibiina manyi values za struggle. I know how I can move without hurting the intentions of the party and the intentions of the struggle and without stepping on anyone. Nze munzikirize ngende mu kino at the end of the day nja kuba manyikiddwa nja kuba nzimbye emirandira wansi nja kuba nzimbye brand we mulivaayo ng'ekibiina nti muntaddeko abantu bajja kuba bamanyi temujja kumenyeka nnyo okutunda Moses mu ggwanga kubanga Moses yali ajja kuba nga yakolako omulimu ogumutunda so ne babanga bakitegedde. So for me, like I said, what is important is that you remain true to your values, don't compromise, and get to realize that not everyone can be in support. When you find someone who has not supported you, just appreciate that he has not understood you at that moment. But keep working. At the end of the day, you will get there.
Yes, tukyagenda maaso abalaga fa bulungi twebaza okuba nti mukyagumiddeko nemwefiiza ka data nemugamba nti the United Drive alternative digital kwenaakerera tukyali the alternative Uganda nga gwe mukutu kwotusanga saawa mpaka saawa 3 eva the United Drive tugenda kuba nga tubalita programs endala gyobujjakaawo era ndowooza November 3 ejja kuba Monday waliwo program endala ejja nga yakawongeezaawo so naye ejja kuba interactive nga tulaba ejja kuba yo basically nga yabavubuka naddala abali mu leadership positions oba n'abo abaali agadde babeegwanyiza so eyo show ejja maaso awo mpola n'aba tubatusaako programs ez'enjawulo nyonge bategeeza nti gwe ayagala oba alina obusobozi bwonna buyinza okuba nga moral support eyinza okuba nga advisory support kwa ku ssimu eyo etambula wansi 0702 9 7 0702 9076 gwalina financial support account number kweri ku screen onaaba ogiraba gye bujjako otaba tubala ne mobile money number kwemunaaba musobola oyo alina cash nga iziyo support tujaniriza oyinza otuwabula nti wano mwakozeemu bubi mwakozeemu ensobi twaniriza omanyi ekizimbya omuntu ku kkubo kuwabulwa ffe tuli bategefu okuwabulwa n'okuweebwa amagezi tukyagenda mu maaso n'omugenyi waffe ye mukulu Byamugisha Moses munamateeka nga temunayaabufuzi muvubuka muto emyaka mito naye obukulembeze bwo n'ebifo byabaddemu bimusinga emyaka so lwaleero wamunominati nze tugamba tujja muleeta era tetukaluubiriza ng'abaala tulinayo olwaleero tukyagenda mu maaso dakika ziri 6 ezagenda ku ssaawa 2 tukyali tulitya ku Kira Road naye gyetutambulidde kubako kangi era gwe watetanava waka obanga okyali mu buliri obudde bwagenze dda nno naye bw'oba ofuluma ekikunta ng'ogenda kukola funako ekirikooti weesuuleko ku mabega osobole okuba nti onoonyeza ekigulya amagala eddiba n'abantu okuba nti oba oli awo bafunaako okulya n'okusola omusolo ogw'eggwanga mukulu Byamugisha twagala kumanya gwe olowooza youth league ya FDC ekibiina mwobeera ekoze ekimala regardless okuba nti muli mu mbeera ey'okuba nti ebyobufuzi mu ggwanga ekibiina ekiri mu bukulembeze mukyekwasa ekyambazeeko emirembe olowooza mwenga FDC mukoze ekimala okulaba nti ebyobufuzi mukulaakulanya abavubuka mu kibiina kyammwe?
Well, kati kana akaseera katono kemaze mu field oba oliawo wayinza okubaawo programs empya eziriwo zesimanyi ng'ebuuzo ebimu chairman waffe yandibadde ng'asobola okubiddamu bulungi naye ku kyemanyi ku busobozi bw'ekibiina kubanga ne mu kutunuulira ensonga bbiri obusobozi bw'ekibiina ne embeera eriwo ndabira ddala nti bagezezzaako kubanga kati ekinene nnyo pati ekyesobola okukola ku ssaawa eno kyekyokulaba nti chapters zaffe eziri mu matendekero g'enjawulo zikuumibwa ziweebwa amaanyi okulaba nti zisigala nga ziri vibrant era buli gear direction yonna ebaawo pati erina budget okulaba nti esupporting aba guild aspirants ba GRCs ne guild presidents ab'amatendekero ag'enjawulo eba supportinga ne chapters executive chapters eziri mu matendekero ago ezisobozese okubaako activities zeekola ezo activities nga zigendererwa oku-identifying abaana n'okubateekamu amaanyi nga bwe nkubuulidde resources both in terms of money and time and human resource tuzimalidde nnyo mu struggle ey'okuchallenging regime oluusi n'osanga nti emirimu ng'egy'okukunga abantu kunga abavubuka okukola ki tegigenze bulungi era mmanyi bulungi nti mu kaseera kati nga kano mu kalulu ke tugendamu oba oli awo oyinza okusanga obuwagizi bwaffe mu bavubuka bujja kuba bukendedde mu nnyo ku lwa dynamics eziriwo kubanga kino kyo tekyetaaga kukwekereza nti olwaleero bw'oba owulira ekiri ku ground olaba nga abavubuka bali mu kugamba nti guno omugendo oguliwo gwe tugenda nagwo tosobola kuba blaminga abo abaana balwanye nnyo bakubibwa gino emyaka gyonna kyebaagala kyekibatuusa gye bagenda so tosobola kuba blaminga nti ate nga bakyuse we have to understand them. We have to understand that Ugandans are impatient. They wanted change yesterday. So anything that seems to be something that can take them somewhere, they will go for it. Whether that thing is real or not, ebyo tujja kubitegeera nga tuvudde mu kalulu. Naye okirabira ddala. So for me, I think my assessment is that looking at the capacity of the party and the dynamics, the party has done well. Instead, what I said earlier is that I think even some personalities like myself have got to find a way of doing an extra role in that respect. Kubanga no kambeere Byamugisha Moses nga njagala kwesimbawo tosobola kuwangula weka kuba weetaaga tiimu nga bwe nkubulidde mu mwaka 2014 twasalawo ne tugamba katandika okutambula tugende mu districts tugamba abaana bayingire ebifo tubarage n'ebifo ebirimu amakulu ekitegeeza actually twagenda okumala campaign eyo eya 2014 nga abaana abasoba mu 208 baali bamaze okuyingira abanakibiina b'omunda bo bamanyi bulungi omuliro gwali erugogo delegates conference gye twasemba okubeera nayo eyatuula erugogo mwalimu abavubuka bangi nnyo abaali baze nga badelegates na abaali baze nga bagenda nga bagenda kwesimba okugenda mu NEC, National Executive Committee. Era abo abavubuka baali basuubira nti ngenda kubeera candidate basobola okumpagira naye bannaffe ne bagamba emyaka gikyabulamu ojjula olindamu. So I think it's going to be a continuous process. we also need to take advantage of the civil society, the NGOs. How far have we done as a party and as the Youth League to identify good friendly forces within the civil society that can offer us training? Because there are many civil society organizations that do youth-friendly projects. If our aim is to champion youth, meaningful youth inclusiveness in politics, how have we tried to identify such friendly forces and seek their assistance in training and in mentorship of our young people? I think that's the work that has to be where we need extra effort, and I hope it will be done.
Ogambye nga points sinagerabira ogambye abaana bakubiddwa mu trials zino ze mbaddeko nga munoonya okukyusa obukulembeze abamu bakubiddwa abamu bafunye obuvune. Why are the youth so violent, yet there are non-violent measures that can alter change? Why are they violent? Is it because you have prepared them to be defiant to everything that is tabled?
No. Naye kankubulire. And I'm speaking as an activist,
Yes.
who has been one time framed as violent as anything. I would like to tell you, those young people are very peaceful. Those young people are very, very, very peaceful. They are very non-violent. From my experience, it is only the activities of the security, especially the police, that makes the situation violent. When the police is not there, the youth will carry stones to throw them at who? When they have not tear gas, the youth will be fighting who? The challenge is that we have got a regime that panics a lot. A regime that panics a lot. Now, use the example of the ongoing campaigns. When you look at the amount of tear gas that the security apparatus unleashes on opposition every day, you wonder. They find people moving in a procession and they tear gas them. You see, there are things that are natural. Akaruru, for me, I'm not a sports fan per se. Beyond cranes, I have no interest in sports. Naye bw'oba olaba abaana nga bawagira Mani oba Arsenal oba Liverpool balinga abalimu omuliro. That's why they can't even watch at home alone. There are things that characterize particular processes. A campaign has got characteristics. Erimu omuliro, erimu okusanyuka, erimu okujaganya, erimu okukola buli kimu. Okwenga tekunaba kubaawo. So you cannot expect that people will participate in a political process just like this. They have to be happy, they have to be excited, they have to show support. Police comes in and it becomes disruptive. But even then, let me use the example of now the people that they normally categorize as ghetto youth. For you, I may have gone to school, studied, and so I have got many avenues through which I can express myself. I can be on a show like this one, I can write an article in a newspaper, I can be on TV, I have got a social media platform where I can express myself. Naye waliyo omuvubuka eyo nga ye talina those other platforms of expressing himself. Naye ayagala awulirwe ate nga naye alina stake mu kiriko. Omanyi bwetwali story gye nakubudde eya 26 tuvudde awo mu kalulu kabbiddwa batukubye banafu abamu babasse ne bwe twali tulowooza ebyaffe ne bagamba nosanga nowulira abamu nga bagamba naye mwe mufaaki kati Besigye bwafuuka pulezidenti gwe aba afuuse pulezidenti. Mu lulimi olwaffe owulira nga bagamba nti oli kulya naye eriira ab'omu balugeho oli kulya naye eriira. For you will remain here. But you see, when we go to an election, the stake that, let's say, Engineer Amuriat has in, he has only offered himself as a candidate. I will go and line on a polling station and cast my vote. I have an equal stake. Because when you come and do ballot stuffing, it is my vote that you are mismanaging. when you rig, when you beat up people, when anything that you do to flout the ballots, it is me that directly, because my voice, that's the only voice that I have. The only voice that I have is casting a ballot. Now, when you have engaged in processes that undermine the credibility of the ballot, it means that my voice is done. Which other avenue do I have to express myself? I have to come in the center, burn this tire, express myself, because I don't have a chance to be on TV. I can't write an article. I don't have. That is my only avenue. Tulina abantu ba classe zenjawulo ngobusobozi bwabwe nabwe bwanjawulo. Yes, so tomulowooza nti he's violent. Understand him. We used to have protests here in Kampala. Then you would find, we don't allow your protests. Whenever there are protests, people steal phones and what have you. Nebakwatagana naba mu Kampala City Traders Association. Nebakola za statements awo bana abantu bwe bekarakasa ebintu byaffe byononebwa biki. Naye ngogenda okulaba one of the chances, one of those few occasions, bwe tukola activity yaffe nga tebagitaataganyiza, nga tuyita mu bulungi, nga abantu bayimirira mu maaso gaabwe ne batuwulira, nga naffe ne tuyitawo n'ebipande byaffe tufuuba efulembe, nga tera akutemu ne ku mukono. Naye kasita poliisi eyingirawo n'etandika okukola byekola, awo emaliriza ng'ebintu byonone. So, in conclusion, young people are not violent per se. Young people need a voice. They have to express themselves in various ways, given their various capacities that they have. What is important is for the people in authority to appreciate that young people also have a stake in this country. A stake in this country. If we are 45 million Ugandans, we all have equal stake. We all deserve a better Uganda.
Equal stake, they have a stake. Have these young people realized they have space they need to take? Definitely not basing on how they are participating in the politics, the political process that is taking place. Instead of them taking up leadership positions, they have instead decided to follow these people, hang posters, have they been not mentored?
Tulina obuzibu ku nsonga eyo waliwo obuzibu.
Yes, what is the problem?
Yes, kati kubanga bw'olimu oli kwogera ku ekyo tetwerabidde nti tulina okwesimba otukwata ebifu ng'abavuka ekyo tetukyerabidde, naye enkola eriwo yatuguumaza. Ekisooka tugenda ku ssomero tuvaayo n'empapula zaffe n'osanga nga tolina mulimu. Abavubuka bangi tebalina mulimu. Kati n'ogenda okufuluma nga munnaffe politics yazifuula za baasa. Munnange nali mu palamenti mu lunaku lwe baali bakyusa amateeka aga nomination fees. Man. You see, previously, an MP would pay, I think, like 500,000 shillings. Someone in the local government would pay less. President was paying only 8 million shillings. And they would even facilitate him with a vehicle and also 20 million shillings. Now, I recall the day when Parliament was voting on nomination fees. Ochimanyi nti ba MPs abamu bali bagamba nomination fee ya MP bagiteeke ku million 10. Nga reason ze bawozimanyi. Nga gamba, can you imagine? ARNOLD yavudde mu Makerere. Yaka graduating mu social work. Na yali mu constituency ali mu kumbonyabonya. Talina na saati asiba mu vest yemu katisha tika Arsenal kabeera mu kuva Mande okutuuka Mande. Na yali yeyo ali mu kumbonyabonya. Abantu ngaba batalina makulu. Na yali nomination fee tugiteeke ku million 10. Abantu abamu basigaleyo. Tubasibireyo. Naye omanyi kye kitegeeza omuvubuka okufuluma university n'akola n'aweza million 10 oba million 3. Omanyi nti teacher tasobola kusasula million 3 za nomination fee. Tasobola. Million 3 nomination fee. Musaara gwa teacher omwaka mulamba. Akora omwaka mulamba ng'atereka ntagende yesimba mu kifo ky'okubeera member of parliament. kati teacher yesimba ata ku kifo kyo bwa president kati so kati enkola eriwo eya mukuru Museveni yo yasarawo yatuguumaza dda ng'abavubuka batono nnyo bosanga nti basobola okuvaayo ne bavaayo ne babeera bagunjufu. So the situation is working against us. There is unemployment, but even the few who are employed, there is underemployment. Ofuna katono jo n'abadde ndaba amawulire abasomesa aba movies nti baba mbusa amaddaala ne bakola oba senior lecturer oba ki naye omusaala ne gusigala gulo gwa wansi nga babuuza nti lwaki batwongere amayinja agata reflecting ku misaala gyaffe. So there is a high problem of unemployment or underemployment. Jukira nti abasazeewo ne bagamba nti katutandikewo ebyaffe research egamba eraga actually nti Uganda y'emu ku nsi eziriso industrious abaana bavaayo batandikawo business kasaruuni kabotiiki kaki entunda fresh foods biki abaana bagezaako ne batandikawo ebintu ebyenjawulo naye businesses ezo research ekulaga nti pasente nyingi tesobola kumalawo n'omwaka ogusooka. Otandikawo kabotiiki bwoti ow'omusoro yatuuse ow'akasasiro yatuuse KCCA biki ne weesanga nga tolina w'oyita. So we have inherent structural limitations as young people that undermine our meaningful participation in politics. They are structural in a way. Even some of us who have said let's join in political parties, they can offer us platforms. You reach there and you find political parties are also highly limited in what they can be, in what they can do to offer you the necessary platforms that you need. So what we have to do, which is a process really, is to fight. As young people, we have to keep fighting to be able to have the change that we need. When we have that change, omanyi oluusi waliwo wetutuuka nga mugamba nti change omuntu n'avayo n'agamba naye mwe mulowooza nti walibawo gavumenti erivaayo ng'eteeka sente mu nsawo ya buli omu nti walibawo ekintu ng'ekyo nti gavumenti eri mu kuteeka sente mu nsawo ya buli omu. That's not the change we are talking about. We know that cannot happen. The kind of change that we are fighting for, the kind of Uganda that we want, is a Uganda that gives me chance to be good in an area where I am good, to excel in an area where I am good. If I am good in sports, have you put up facilities, sports academies, that where I can do meaningful training so that there can be many kiproteachs? If I am good in talent, let's say in singing, do we have like meaningful studios where young people can walk in, be mentored, do some piano beating on them, and they release songs, they release hits, and they begin to make their own money? If I want to be a young entrepreneur, do we have government-led initiatives, incubations for businesses that a young person will walk in and present an idea, and those people who are within the business incubation center pick it and help you and connect him with someone who can connect it? If from my home in Rukunjera I've said we do a lot of sorghum and millet, we have a lot of it, I think I can do bushera. And I would want, for me, I have manpower, I have millet flour and what have you. We can mix and produce, but I don't have a mechanism of branding, of packaging and what have you. Can you connect me to someone who can offer that? And we do joint venture. Are there those platforms? That's the kind of Uganda that we want. We know that there's not going to be a government that puts money in everyone's hand. At the end of the day, when it comes to jobs, fena tugenze ne tusoma. Bwemba ndi professional mu kintu. Mpereddwa omukisa in terms of employment. Do we have equal jobs, equal employment opportunities? Oba mwana wa gundi ya mara na ingirawo. So that's the kind of thing that we want.
comment emu bbiri ssatu ezaabo abatuwuliriza. Omwami Kiwanuka Bashir abuuza, what advice can you offer to Bobi Wine, who thinks that he is the most influential in the politics of Uganda and to the generation?
Yes. I first of all, I don't know whether Bashir has given a good description or a better description of what Bobi Wine thinks or does. My understanding, my reading of Bobi Wine and what he's trying to do is that he is this. He's also one of these young people that wakes up and realizes that there is a problem, and realizes that within himself there is what he can do. There is what God enabled him to do in terms of courage, talent, and what have you. He can offer contribution, and so he has come up to offer a contribution. It's not that I don't think that he looks at himself as the most influential, because that would be misleading.
Yes.
I mean, we have seen most influential people. So the issue is not who is most influential. I don't think that in our time we are going to have a person who is going to influence government and people and dynamics like KB has done over time. So the issue is not about influence. The issue is, do you think there is a contribution that you can make? And my thinking is that yes, he has a contribution that he can make. Let's give him a chance. Time heals all wounds. If the effort is natural, if it's artificial, we will get to know. But let's give him benefit. Again, omanyi kiri kye nagambye. Abantu tebalasuubira nti omuntu asobola kuvaayo n'atandika. Oteekwa okuba wali eruweero okubaako ky'otandikako. Bannange, omuntu bw'avaayo mumuwe chansi, mumuwe omukisa, tomanya. Yes, kakole contribution eye. Tubadde wano, our main problem in our struggle, let me tell you, related to the background that I gave you, was the issue of leadership. Inti mu struggle yaffe tubadde ne mukulu Besigye nga yeye kanyeenya kasita bakwata dokita ng'omulimo gulaala, omuliro gulaala, munyeenya bwe muba mutambude dokita bwe bamusalako nga buli omu addayo ku mudaala gwe. So we didn't have many messages.
Yes.
My prayer is that Bobi Wine can also build the capacity and be at such a level where he can also offer such a contribution. You know?
Yes.
That comes with time. It's not going to happen now. It's a process. He has to keep working to be able to earn the confidence of Ugandans.
Yes.
But let's give him benefit of doubt and we see how far he can go.
Omwami Ali Kakembo webale kubeerako. Selugo Ronald from Chambago University. Mokwano webale kubeerako. I think this last question should lead us to your conclusive remarks. Ask Byamugisha Moses why no. Ask him, is he still willing to stand as president or he dumped the dream?
Kati ekiro kambasomere mu program ngegenda okutambula. Bafani bange bambayite naye abafu ba supporter ndo
Basupporter.
Tetubeera na bafani. Ekiro kati kino kyo ekya eno season ene ejja kuyita eno bagirinyeme bamaze dde kugirinya megere ne corona teri kyamanyi kyetugenda kufuna mweno. So eno yoke eyitewo bwe mara okuyitawo tuddeyo mu mirimu gyaffe giri egy'okuzimba okutuukirira abavubuka mu youth league wansi mu districts, okutuukirira abavubuka mu students fraternity na informal sector generally, tusigale nga tuzimba. Ekirooto ekyokwesimba ku bwa president bwa Uganda kyo kikyaliwo. Ekirooto ekyokwesimba mu kibiina oba mu kifo ky'obwa party president oba presidential flag bearer oba ekifo ekirala mu kibiina ekyo kikyaliwo. Nkubulidde nti for me it's not an event, it's a process. Okusobola basobola okutegeera gye tuva nti waliwo we tuva eri bwe twagamba nti twagenda okulaba nga olutalo lwe tulimu lutwetaagisa nti tubeeko bye tukola tusobole okwetegekera omulimu omunene. Olwaleero ne Amuli atayinza okufuuka party president, ayinza okufuuka president wa Uganda. Naye ekyo tekitegeeza nti omulimu gwe twatandika guba guwedde. Actually Amuli ati wayingirirawo nga president wa Uganda awo omulimu omunene we gutandikira. Jukira mugenda ku taking over a country whose systems are already broken down. Bwe tutuuka mu government nga FDC ne tutabaako na abaana abasobola okukola omulimu omunene very fast. Even our government, our own people will rise up against us. So we have to have prepared. And you see, that's what some of us are doing. That do we have some young people that are preparing to offer leadership, to offer to add a brick on the management of Uganda in a post-Museveni era. I have always shared with colleagues. For me, what bothers me is not whether Museveni is going or not. Because he is a human being, naturally he will go. It's just a matter of time. The question that preoccupies my mind is, Museveni ngagenze.
Are you prepared?
Are we prepared? Fengaba vubuka in politics, in civil society, in business, in what have you? Have we positioned ourselves in a manner that it can give us chance to offer a brick, to offer a contribution?
Very good.
Nti bwe tuliteerawo Uganda ennungi eweereza buli omu omukisa gw'oli mu business olibaako ky'otandika we position ibuse bulungi nti olitandikawo akantu nawe gye avubuka abiri obawe emirimu nti olina ka consultancy kogenda okutandikawo akanaatuguda bwe kiba nti tulabye nti within let's say now like your field of the media fraternity nti tulifunayo a school of journalism ng'eriwo sponsored and facilitated eweereza abaana baffe kubanga fourth state nkuru nnyo mu development. The media is the mirror of what happens in the country. Are we being deliberate on building that area? So let's position ourselves. Let's position ourselves, and I can tell you and I can tell the viewers that for me, on a daily basis, I wake up determined to position myself.
Yes, he's determined to see that the society is changed. As he winds up, we are experiencing youth involvement in the politics of this country, and recently in the youth elections, at least the momentum was high. So in conclusive, as you conclude, how should this momentum be maintained so that the youth are not broken down even when they don't get the youthful president as they wish?
Ekisooka ffenna katusooke tuveeyo tulonde be twagala kubanga luli luyale guli omwaka guliyo kale akalula kaggwa baali bawandiisa abantu miliyoni 15 naye omanyi nti obululu bwa Besigye n'obwa Museveni bw'obugatta wamu tebuweza miliyoni 6 kati abantu abawera miliyoni 5 tebalonda ate buli bwo every time you decide not to go and vote, you will have voted the person you don't like. True. Every time you take a decision not to go to a polling station and vote, you will have voted the person you don't like. Kati njagala abavubuka bonna baveeyo bacandidates webali mulonde kusinziira kwagala kwammwe ku busobozi bwammwe the way they are campaigning, but get out and vote. Let's first of all get out and vote. You see, bwe tuba twakuteekako action ng'omuntu ku lunaku lw'okulonda yali yeebase talina kimugjayo, naye omuntu bw'abanga yavaayo n'alonda akalulu ke ne bakalinyamu bw'aba alina ekimugjayo okubaako kyakolako. So kyova olaba ffe campaign yaffe kati campaign gye ndiko yakugamba obuka get out and vote. Yes, we know the process has been meaningless previously, but if we are going to be able to do something, we need to have begun with voting. Let's begin with voting. Let's add on all those strategies that we have been doing in terms of vote protection. You never know. You never know what can happen. Things have happened elsewhere. Things have happened elsewhere. So you never know what can happen. God's timing is the best. Maybe it was not at God's timing. So let's get out and vote. Protect our vote. And defend our victory. Yes. Because defending our victory has always been an issue. Last time we won. The previous 3 times we won. But our preparedness in defending the victory was wanting, because I think we had not prepared for that. So now let's go in when we are prepared to vote, protect the vote, but also defend the victory. And I think we can be able to make it.
Omwami Council Byamugisha Moses gwe tubadde naye mu studios olunaku olwaleero olunaku lw'olwa Monday so bannange njagala okubajjukiza nti ennaku ziri 59 zetubuzaayo okugenda okulonda ababaka baffe abanatukiikirira mu parliament ne president weggwanga agenda okuba nga atutambuza for the next 5 years. So ekisookerwako bagamba nti go and vote. Bannaye abavubuka tubakubiriza guno omulundi mugende mulonde, you overwhelm them. Ne bwe mugamba ebyombo bajja kubba akalulu ekintu bwe kiba kingi omuntu ne bwakibba tasobola kukimalawo era ajja kubbako byabba era Victoria mwe mugisigaze nti kyo era namwe muneebala nti kwolwo 2021 twalonda. Bannange ffe tubakubiriza nti mugende mulonde. Farida Bikobere is my name. Nkoze n'omwami MUKOSE ARNOLD Anthony. Omwami Jeremiah Mukiibi yabadde mu control room ng'akutemera ekifaananyi ekyo. Omukyala Nabukera Teddy Tenjo yabali ku kamera ng'akulaga ekifaananyi akukyukiza ono nga awaayo discussions ze n'engagement ze tubadde nazo olunaku olwaleero. Bashir Kiwanuka yabadde mu driving seat ng'atuvuga akutambuza ku kkubo ng'akwatiridde obulamu bwaffe nga tuli ku nguudo ez'omu kibuga Kampala. Zo si nnungi, ababaka betulonda oba bemulonda tebannakola kimala. Musiitwa Elizabeth yabadde ng'atukwatira amakubo leero, kwata wano yita wano eno. Producer waffe ow'olunaku omukyala Lilian Luwedde. Bannange bamikwano mwe balikola ababaddeko nga mulaba programu. Ffe tusuubira nti mugjeemu ekyokuyiga discussion yebadde nnungi. Mwe bali kubeerako abasindize comments, abasindize ebibuuzo byonna bamikwano mwe bali kubeerako. Tulabagane olunaku olw'enkya obudde buba bwe bumu ssaawa eb'emu ey'okumakya mpaka ssaawa 3. Page eri The Alternative Uganda, platform yaffe eri The Alternative Digital. Tuba twogera real issues, real talk. Sisukawo wano mbeere bulungi.